Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Gemma, and joining me this week, I have my two excellent friends. I have Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And again this week, I have Trev. Welcome back, Trev.
Hello. I guess we're going to have 65% more Simpson references this week.
Yes. Yes, and far fewer Godzilla references, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
I'll just take off my headphones and go down to the basement. Let me know when you're done.
Yeah. It's been an exciting week because we did get a Nintendo Direct during the week, and it was a double, what would you call it? A double feature. It was two in one. It was a partner showcase as well as an indie showcase. So two, I guess usually they're separate these kind of itineraries, but they were joined together for whatever reason. I would like to quickly speculate as to why we think they were joined together. If anyone had any thoughts on that. Are we thinking because the next one's gonna be something completely different?
That is exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, okay. It seems like it,
They
doesn't it?
they had to get these both out of the way so they could do their own Nintendo Direct, hopefully pretty soon. At least
Yeah.
that's my hope.
Mhm. Did
It's
we
just
expect this?
weird, though, because
Yeah.
prior to that, they had that little kind of rinky dink one where they were showcasing um, the museum
Museum.
there, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So that was only a week before, and then 2 yeah, these 2 came out, as one, but 2 sort of separate entities as one. We expect a direct in September, I'm guessing, because that's the usual cadence. So wow, we're looking forward to that. But let's stick with what we were given this week, which was a huge number of games talked about and shown off. 47, if my counting is correct. I did the math. 18 in the indie world one, and 20, was it 29 in the partner showcase. So we're going to go through some highlights. We don't have time, obviously, to talk about all of them, unfortunately. But there are some very interesting ones that we would love to discuss. So let's get to it. And the first one on our list that's been highlighted is Niva, which is from the creators of Grizz. Grizz? I don't know how to say that. Grizz?
I go with Gris, but who knows
Chris.
if I'm right?
Yeah. And this one comes out on October the 15th. And Kirk, what was your kind of reaction to this? Did you know about this one before we were shown anything? Or was it new for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm,
This maybe showed a little bit more than what we've seen before. I knew it was
mhm.
in development, and I don't know a lot about the game, but everything I've seen, you could see some action and you could see movement, like uh, it's not exactly platforming. If it's like Gris, then it's more of like just figuring how to get from here to there. But I loved Gris very much. It wasn't a long game, but it was a beautiful game, and very fluid and touching. The one thing I do know about this game is everything I've seen. People are saying to keep a box of tissues nearby. I'm not the one usually, I'm a heartless kind of guy. I play games without crying, no matter how sad they are, but it's going to be a tearjerker kind of game from what I've seen. So looking forward to playing
Right.
it. Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Trev, did you have any thoughts on this one? Or you're happy to
It looks
let Kirk do this one?
beautiful.
Yeah.
The screenshots look nice. I am myself. I've grown tired of tearjerker games. I play games to escape kind of from real life. I don't need to be reminded of things that make me miserable because there's
Yeah,
enough of
fair
that in
enough.
this world. So this is not going to be a day one for me. I will have to wait and see maybe
Mm,
Kirk's review or whoever ends up reviewing it to see what they think. But I just feel like that sort of subset has really exploded within like the past year or two, and clearly there's a market for it. Some people really like that sort of thing, but that's just
mm.
not for me as a rule. And um, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. It certainly looks visually stunning with the kind of the aesthetic, almost shadows sometimes. The characters are kind of in
Hmm.
the foreground as shadows and the background's highlighted somehow with like a sun or something in the background. Yeah, and like there's like almost like a fog element to it or something, or they're in caves. It's very the light, the way they use the light is very effective. And the colors kind of they really draw out the whatever color, like pink in one scene, yellow in another, blue in another. yeah, certainly looks stunning. So definitely interested to see how that fares once it's released on October the 15th. So yeah, Neva, very exciting. Let's move on to the next in our list, which is Coffee Talk Tokyo. So this is what is it? A sequel? It's another entry in the series. Has anyone played any of the previous entries in the series before?
I have not.
No, Trev.
No, nor have I, but the reason I marked this is because we have covered them, both the
Hmm.
prior games for Pure Nintendo. We did
Mm.
review them, and they were pretty good scores. I think the first one we scored a 7, which is good, and the sequel, which I think it was Rachel who reviewed that one,
Hmm.
she gave it a 9 out of 10, which is very high. And any game that scores that high, at least I give it a second look, even if I don't necessarily jump on it right away. So, um, yeah, I'll be interested to see how this one does with the its locale. And I love the artwork on this. You can sort of see the attention to detail, in some of the like pixel backgrounds and such. So I think if people are fans of visual novels, and sometimes I am, to be fair, I think
Hmm.
this one is going to be on your radar.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It does look really nice. Yes, we did cover both. I remember reading those reviews as well. Very highly recommended from our team. The previous ones, this one looks to continue that theme where you're, I guess, a coffee shop kind of owner or at least a barista, talking to different customers, like you said, a visual novel style. You also have the chance to kind of decorate the coffees or something like that along the way. So there's obviously little, departures from just the visual novel kind of layout. But yes, very colorful. Obviously, the text is going to be the narrative is going to be the main part of it. It's a story, getting to know these characters and how they interact and whatever kind of story behind the scenes unfolds. So yes, and I love that this one was one of the ones that the developers spoke about before we got the trailer, I think, as well, and how
Yeah, it's always nice
yeah,
to when they're able to get the team
yeah,
behind it, sort of share their insight.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do love that, and same with the one before actually as well. Neva, they did talk as well. So yeah, really, really cool. Looking forward to that one. This one comes out that just says 2025, so a bit of a wait on that one. We don't have an exact date just yet, but yeah, we'll be out
Yeah,
in the new year. So some of these games, yeah, they were given sort of specific dates, others were kind of ranges, but it was meant to be, I think it was kind of more or less the next 6, would you say 6 to 9 months kind of thing? Games that we'll see in the next 6 to 9 months, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would agree with that because
Yeah.
I remember one for sure was in March 2025. So that's
Mm,
6 months out from now when we're recording.
yes, exactly. And next on the list, so they did a couple of DLC little bits and bobs, and the first one is Sea of Stars, which the DLC is called Throes of. Is it Throes of the Watchmaker? I might have written that down wrong. Sorry, Throes of the Watchmaker. And I love Sea of Stars, and I think a few of us have played it, at least the demo, if not the full game. Unfortunately, I haven't given it as much time as I would like to. It's just time, really, just finding time. But I did buy the whole, I've got the full game. I've played through the demo. I've got the full game. Love it, love it. Just need to find more time to actually get back into it properly. But this new DLC, which it doesn't come out till spring 2025, this one, a couple of things stand out. One is that, it seems quite robust, like it's got new roles, a new playable character, new areas and dungeons to explore, but the other thing is it's completely free, which, that surprised me. It seems like a lot of content, and it's, already a big game. To add something to a game like this is an RPG, it's a top-down kind of in that retro classic style that I just love. Um, to have some free extra content, I think is really, really neat. Did you guys have anything to add to that? Have you I can't remember. I know Kirk played the demo, I believe, at least, of Sea of Stars. Did you get
Yeah,
any further than that?
actually, I do have the game. We never
Yes.
reviewed it at Pure Nintendo. We missed it. We since
Mm,
got they announced this DLC a long time back. I
mhm,
mean, almost a year ago, they said that there was DLC in development.
Yes.
Because I remember the time we reached out to the PR firm and said, we would like to cover the DLC when it comes out, and they gave us a review code, and we never reviewed it because it was too late. And I thought, well, the DLC is just around the corner; we'll put it out then. And now
Oh,
it's not till
yes.
spring 2025, so we we got to get on it and give it a review.
Yeah.
It's
But
funny, Kirk. I'm looking in Asana. The date next to Sea of Stars is August 29th of last year. So
Yeah.
a year and 2 days from when we're recording.
well, there you go. So
Wow.
yeah, and since
I
it's free, I don't know if it makes sense to even review the DLC as part of it because it's a free option now. So it's not like we want to
yeah.
convince someone one way or another to pick it up. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
true.
it's
True.
such a good game. It's so attractive. Such a good story. I love it. And like you, it's very long, and I got pulled onto other games that I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
wasn't the one who was working on the review, so that wasn't an issue. I think a reviewer may have finished it.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I got to get back in because when the DLC comes out, I will be all over that. Looking forward to playing it.
Yes. Yes, me too. Exactly. And yeah, I remember it being in our list for that reason. But I thought, I guess I assumed it was a different DLC. Like we already had some DLC and there was more DLC, but this is the same one they were talking about a year ago. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It
So
kind
what
of
would
proves
be?
your
Yeah.
point, Gemma, about it being robust if it's
Yeah.
taken a year of development.
That is true. That is true. Yes. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. We do have a ways to go. Spring, that's around the March time mark as well, right? For the Northern Hemisphere. So yeah.
Yeah.
So still a good 6 or so months away. A bit more than that. Yeah. Very excited about that one. Moving on to can I move on? Are you guys good with Sea of Stars? Thought Trev was
Let's
about to say
go.
something. No.
Oh no, it
um
looked nice. I liked how they had
yeah.
it looked like the characters were true to the carnival theme, right? They were showing jugglers,
Mm,
acrobats,
mhm.
things like that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I think maybe Bill will have to do a piece for the magazine because, like Kirk was saying, if it is free, how do we,
Mm.
how do you review it? So maybe we can find a way to give it some coverage in a future issue.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Absolutely. Very, very cool idea. We could do some character stuff as well, maybe like in as part of the like if it was a feature rather than in a review, we could do some breakdown of the different characters or something as well. Anyway,
Mm.
let's move on to the next one, and this one is a little game called Wobbly Life, which I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't heard of this one. To be honest, I hadn't either, but my son brought it to my attention because it's an existing game. It's already been around since 2020. It's an open world physics sandbox. Comes out on December 2024. Don't know the exact day in December for the Switch, but it's an online game that's already out in the wild on various devices, and it just looks silly and fun, basically. So we're looking forward to that in our household because it's something we're familiar with, and well, at least my son is, and he highly recommends it. So that's from an 11-year-old's perspective, but it does look really cute. And you're kind of these what sort of characters are you? Like a duck or a cat or something? And it's the physics side of it is that you're a floppy little character who walks around and wobbly, right? It's called Wobbly Life. And interact with various things in the world, get a job, drive a car. It just looks like silly fun, really. So we'll see how that goes on the Switch, and if that is a popular feature or a popular game, I should say, once it moves across. But yeah, it's out there and it is already apparently quite popular with the young ones. So keep an eye on that one. Next one is an exciting one, and I think maybe this is a Trev one. Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope DX. Is this a Trev title?
It is. Well, hopefully it's an everyone title because I think Shovel Knight
Yeah.
is one of my favorite games of since like the Wii U generation. So what is it like?
Mhm.
It's over 10 years, I think, since it first came out. But
Yeah.
um, I am wondering how they're gonna. We were talking about like Sea of Stars and DLC because Shovel Knight is on the Switch, so I wonder if the new content's going to be like a DLC or they're going to update it just to make that version the definitive one. but
Mm.
it's neat to see some of the features they added, like rewind and save states. I already think Shovel Knight was fair difficulty
Mhm.
wise, because they had pretty generous checkpoints and options on how you could use them. But it is a challenging game, and for those who didn't grow up like during the NES era, I
Mhm.
think they'll find these things helpful. Um, just try to use them sparingly. Plus the game has built-in cheats. They advertise too, so it really is a rewarding game if you can play it straight. But that's a nice option to have, for cases when you need it. I think more exciting, perhaps, is multiplayer because previously, well, on 3DS, I don't think they had any multiplayer. And on Wii U, if you wanted multiplayer, you only got that through the Shovel Knight amiibo, which was pretty big
Mm.
content to attach to an amiibo. So that's
Yeah.
nice. And it's a
Yeah.
fun game to play in co op. And I'll be curious to see how online works because they have online now.
Wow.
And the main thing they advertised actually that got me curious was they showed really briefly 3D. And I'm wondering how that's going to work on the Switch because that was pretty cool on 3DS, right?
Mhm.
So how are they going to pull that off on the Switch? They showed like just I don't know 2-3 seconds of it, and it looked neat. But it's one thing seeing it in a video; it'd be another, seeing it on your TV or on the Switch in handheld mode. So I'll be neat. I think it'll be neat to see how they incorporate that, and it's just a great game, Shovel Knight. I mean, I own it on Wii U, I own it on 3DS. I
Mhm.
may I may pick up this Switch version, but um,
Yeah. So is this the
yeah.
original outing remastered? Is that right? Like a deluxe version of the very first Shovel Knight? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, well, yes, largely. They've actually added a fair bit of, content subsequently with Shovel Knight, and of course,
Mhm.
it's had spin-offs too. But yeah, the original game was great, and kudos to them for really perfecting it because they
Mm.
easily could have left it as is, but to add content and just polish it up the way they did, it was awesome. And Shovel Knight was actually, Kirk mentioned Gris as a Pure Nintendo cover. Shovel Knight was a very early cover for the
I remember,
magazine way back.
yeah.
I don't know, like issue 12 or something. It was a long time ago, but it was a gorgeous cover.
Yeah. I remember that one. I do. Mhm. And this
Mm.
one comes out in 2025. We don't really have a date, just a very large window. So one would assume it's kind of earlier in the year rather than later in the year, but something to very much look forward to. Um, Trev, you'll be probably disappointed to know that I've never actually played Shovel Knight, which seems
Well,
crazy.
you'd think so, Gemma, but I feel like I'm more excited for you because now you'll be able to play it on the Switch and in this definitive
Mm,
version.
mhm.
I
Yes.
can definitely picture your kids, playing this cooperatively, having fun too, especially with these new features,
Yeah.
because it will
How
appeal
many?
to. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, how many players co-op is it? Do we know?
Just the two, as far as I know.
Yeah. That's cool. Mhm.
But yeah, I think that'll be fun. And these new features are great, not just for people like you who missed it on Wii U and 3DS, but for younger players too, who maybe don't have the dexterity for a game like this. Although the game controls really well, so it is a
Mhm.
game you can definitely learn and appreciate.
Awesome. Well, then I'm excited also. I know it's on my radar. I've always meant to play it. I just haven't. So,
Of course, if you
yeah.
miss it this time around, then I am going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely one I've seen and I'm aware of, and I love my platformers, so it's right up my alley. So definitely, very cool. Thank you for that wrap up of Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope DX. The next one on our list is Metal Slug Tactics, which looks to be, I guess, a turn-based. Is it a turn-based approach to the Metal Slug genre? Well, not really a genre. It's a turn-based genre. Metal Slug is obviously a classic side-scrolling beat 'em up kind of game with guns and artillery. And recently they had, what was the one that I reviewed? It was a different take on the genre, like on the
Yeah, it was like a
yeah,
tower defense.
tower defense, yes, and that was disappointing. So I saw this and I'm like, oh, I hope this is better than that one.
That's actually the main reason I marked it, Gemma,
Uh huh.
to
Yeah.
talk about real quickly, because I remember reading your review, and you weren't the only one. It seemed to kind of get universally knocked for the difficulty spikes and the lack of
Hmm.
options. So I'm
Hmm.
really hoping this game has them, because Metal Slug fans are used to that run and gun style of play.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
if you're really inserting that feel into a brand new genre, people may not be used to a tactics type game. So I
Hmm.
think they really got to wean them in if the game's gonna be critically received better than the last Metal Slug game was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I do hope, I really do. I have high hopes, excuse me. I have high hopes for this one. I hope it is a lot better than the previous outing that we kind of suffered through there. I was so excited about that one because I do love tower defense games and I'm a fan of Metal Slug, so I thought the combination would work well, and it didn't, unfortunately, but who knows, maybe this one will be better. I do wonder if this one exists already because that the previous one, the tower defense one, had already been on, I think, mobile devices, and then it got ported to the Switch, and it was just not ported properly because I think there was lots of paywalls and stuff that you could pay your way through on mobiles,
Mm.
smart devices. You couldn't do that on the Switch, so you just had to randomly unlock the right person to get you through these super, super tough levels. And I'm fine with tough levels, but these were ridiculously hard, like impossible without, I guess, the right character, which you only could randomly unlock by playing other levels. And then it was just, oh, it was so frustrating. Don't even get me started.
We've already
But yes,
started though.
I know, I know.
You
Don't
got
let
to
me
finish
finish.
it now.
Don't let me finish. Read my review for all the full details. But yeah, I was very disappointed. I haven't been that disappointed in a game in a long time. But yes, this one hopefully comes out. Well, sorry, hopefully is better. It comes out in fall 2024, so that's not too far off. I think you're almost about to enter into fall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just like 3 weeks or so in North America anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So not too much longer to wait. We'll see how that one fares. The next one, which is the last one on the indie world list, is Pizza Tower. Now I had not heard of this before, but I've highlighted it because it's out. It's actually out now. So some of these games were available following the direct, and this was one of them. So it is available right now. It's also like it looks it's got a very interesting look to it. I've written down that it looks like a Nickelodeon style game. Like it just looks like that cartoony, like I don't know, like an Arnold or Ren and Stimpy or something. It just has that vibe to it to me. But it's also a crazy fast platformer. And I think you play the role of a pizzeria owner who has to climb a tower to rescue his restaurant or something like that. There's a story there. But the point is, it was released on Steam in 2023, and it's very, very popular. So it seems like it's great that it's on Switch, and hopefully it does well on the Switch. As I said, I hadn't heard of it before this indie world showcase, though. Had either of you heard of this one or seen it at all?
I have not.
No. Trev?
I put it down, Gemma, because I wanted to make a Simpson reference. I was wondering if
Uh-huh.
this had any connection, Pizza Tower, to the Leaning Tower of Pizza, which I don't know if you remember that Simpsons episode where they renamed the pizza shop into a pancake place and they just
Ah,
painted the pizza to look like flapjack. So you had that Italian guy kind of holding a platter full of pancakes.
oh, wow. It's gonna be hard to
Uh,
find for the
it's
YouTube
an
version of this
obscure
one.
reference, but yeah,
Yeah.
the Leaning Tower of Pizza, they changed it to the flapjack stack. But no, jokes aside, I actually did have a couple thoughts on this.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I was reading through the description on Nintendo's site, and they made a point of saying explore at your own pace. But at
Ah,
least in the
okay.
trailer they showed, it was all running. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering, is this, I know it's a fast paced platformer, but is it one of those runner type platformers, or can you slow down? Can you kind of, look in different nooks and
Mm.
crannies? I don't know. And I was also wondering how that would work with two players, because it did say one or two players. So It just seemed like a really frantic style to have support those type of features.
Yeah, that's true. No, I see your point. I don't think it's a runner where you're always in motion. I think you can stop, sort of like Sonic. From my very cursory glance at it, I haven't played it obviously, but that's what I'm assuming as well, especially if it's co-op. Well, yeah, Sonic is co-op. And even though Sonic is
Or like
fast and
Rayman, those Rayman games
yeah,
are pretty fast, and you can still play that with up to 4 people.
Yeah,
mhm,
that's true.
yeah. Yeah, it looks like in one scene he kind of stops next to a rat or something. So maybe, but I don't know if that's because he bumps into it and it just stops him. I'm not sure. The trailer didn't show two players in it, I don't think. I don't remember seeing any
No, I
two.
only saw that on Nintendo's page because I was
Mm,
mainly trying to find out just the type of platformer it was. When I saw that, play at your own pace thing, that's what tripped me up. I'm like, really? Because my
yeah.
pace is a lot slower. But
There is a bit in the trailer where there's like different colored versions of the chef. Maybe that is the multiplayer, or is it just because he's so fast, he's like breaking down into different colors? I'm not sure.
ooh, cosmic.
Yeah, or they're just the things that are following him. Yeah, I think it's just his kind of shadow or something. There's something jumping. I don't know. It's honestly so crazy. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, so we'll see what the reviews are like, I guess, for that one. But it certainly is an interesting, and they saved it to last, so it must be a big deal, I guess. I don't know. At least in terms of the indie world, yeah, I think it's pretty cool it's on the Switch. So hopefully players are enjoying that one since it's already out now. Let us know, listeners, if you have played that and are enjoying it, and also your highlights of the Indie World Showcase. But now we're going to move on to the Partner Showcase. So there were 29 games in this one. We'll go through our picks, I suppose, with a bunch, starting with something I think this is I don't can't remember if I highlighted this or you did, Trev, but I'm also excited about this one, which is Tetris Forever, which is celebrating the 40th anniversary of Tetris, and it has a bunch of games on it, at least 9 that they showed, and there was a screen that showed all the different titles versions that are on this one collection. Which this is a true collection, I would be saying. I think this qualifies. So Trev, did
Mm.
you highlight this one? Because I can't remember what I highlighted now. Sorry.
I think you had highlighted it, but I can
Yeah.
definitely talk about it because I'm a fan of Tetris, and I think the last game actually the Switch had. I think I reviewed Tetris Effect Connected,
Mhm.
which I think wound up as one of our like top 10 of whatever year it came out. It was a few years ago, maybe
Mhm.
2021.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, I like that. I'm excited to see, this one have the Famicom version. I saw Hatris in there, which
Mhm.
probably a lot of people don't know about. And Digital Eclipse, even though this isn't part of their gold series, they really have done a good job with games like this as far as videos and sort of charting the history. The trailer said, had interviews with the key players. So I think that's fascinating, just from a historical perspective. Never mind
Yeah.
the gameplay, and of course, like you said, there's a lot of games in this one. I'm not sure how they decided which Tetris games got in this collection and
Mhm.
which ones didn't, because obviously the NES game, which I grew up with, is not in this collection. It's going to be on Switch Online, which um,
Oh,
fair
the
enough, I
the
suppose.
original one's not in it. Really?
No,
I thought it
they
was.
made a point of saying it was going to be on Switch Online. The NES one, the Famicom version's in there.
Oh,
So,
okay. Right. How different could
but
are they? They're not. They surely are not too different, right?
well, I guess we'll find out for sure. It looked fairly different,
Oh,
but
interesting. I didn't pick that up. I assumed it was the yeah, sorry. Good point. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tetris is Tetris though, and it'll be
Mm.
interesting to compare these versions. I think they even showed a mode where you're kind of like a 4 player, but you're kind of like flipping between like
Yeah,
Tetris games
yeah.
like on the fly, which I'm not sure how that's going to work, but that seems like it
Interesting.
could be some frantic fun.
Yeah. I think it was called Time Warp, that one? Time Warp mode?
Yeah,
Where
that
you're
sounds
yeah,
right.
and it flicks between, I don't know if it's just the visual styles. I mean, like you said, Tetris is Tetris, so blocks are still gonna fall. But in some versions of Tetris, you have different abilities, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose they'd have to kind of curtail it to keep the playing ground even.
Mhm.
But yeah, it
Mm,
looks intriguing, and I like to see a proper collection. I love seeing like
mhm.
old games come back on Switch, but it can add up if you're getting them individually. So to see
Yes.
a collection that has some of the classics, some of the more obscure ones is the way to go. And I get a lot of confidence seeing Digital Eclipse attached to this because they do great work with collections.
Mm. Nice. This one comes out, the date is just 2024, so no specific, um, day or month yet, but obviously we've only got a few more months of 2024, so sometime before the end of the year, and the NES version is said to come online this winter. Kirk, what's your, story with Tetris? Because I know you sort of came into the Nintendo family a bit later. Did you miss the Tetris thing in the, like, late '80s, early '90s, whatever it was?
I was
Or were
playing
you
it maybe on the Mac SE. I
Mhm.
think maybe one of the first Macintoshes I sat down at the Public Information Office at Ohio Northern University, where I
Yeah.
worked, had that on it, and I think it's the first time I played it. So I don't really. It's a fine game. It's nothing I was really into. I think the thing that surprised me most about this is that, and I could be wrong on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. But other than um, Tetris, like on a Switch Online, the Game Boy version of Tetris. This will be like the first true version of Tetris on the Switch. I think there was 99,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it just surprised me that I just assumed Tetris was always everywhere all the time, and
That's true.
yeah, not on Switch. Fans are finally going to get like a big robust collection.
Mhm. That's a good point.
Yeah, there are there are a few well, like Tetris Effect Connected. It's pretty updated, so it's maybe not the pure Tetris experience, but I think they do have a couple like arcade archive versions maybe
Okay.
in part of that line, which sort of leads me back to what I was wondering about earlier. What determined what games were in this collection versus not? Maybe it's because those games are available for purchase already. But it'll be nice to see like the NES version because they were licensing, I think complexities with that because it was like Nintendo published, but it wasn't Nintendo developed. Or anyway, it's nice to see that come back and to sort of have that pure, straightforward Tetris experience. Because like '99 was, even though I like Tetris, I had a hard time getting into Tetris '99 myself. So this
Mm.
will be more my speed.
Yeah. I mean, Tetris 99 is I enjoy it, it's fun, but it's mainly to compete with other people, right? Whereas you might just wanna compete on your own. That's where Tetris got its
Yeah,
origins from, so to beat
like
your own high
Tetris
score.
NES wasn't
Yeah.
even didn't even have like prepper 2 player. You were trading off or playing for scores, high
Yeah.
scores, or playing
Yeah,
to chill.
exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. That's good that we get that back again. Yeah, there's pros and cons to each one, I suppose, or reasons to play each one. But yeah, I think you can't lose that original sentiment, I suppose, of score chasing and chilling, like you said. I think that's great. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Let's move on to Goat Simulator 3, which is actually out right now. Came out after the direct. And this is a game that was originally released on other consoles November 2022, now heading to the Switch. It's 29.99, but it is actually 10% off until the 10th of September. So if you were keen, if you jump on board right now, you'll get it at a slightly discounted price. The physical version comes out in November of this year, so the digital version is this version out right now. Has anyone played a Goat Simulator game previously?
Nope.
Of the Nope, Trev?
I have not. Can you make the goat eat the can?
I think
Because
so.
I
I
saw
don't
Homer
know.
do that. Or is it just pellets from the machine? I don't know. I was looking, Gemma. I think the original Goat Simulator maybe is on Switch, but I didn't see part two. Did they skip an entry? Do you know?
That's a good question because I saw the first one there too. I was scanning through the eShop just the other day and saw it, and it's on. I think it was on sale as well. And I was tempted to to get it, but I didn't. I don't know about number two. That's a good question. Maybe it's not on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't like it when series kind of.
Yeah.
And that's certainly not the only one, but if I'm going to get into a
Mm.
series, I'd like to ideally have the option to play them all. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know.
It's a funny series, and I'm surprised it's as popular as it is. It does look fun. It's sort of you're a goat in a what third person kind of perspective, just roaming the world and doing all sorts of crazy things. Really blowing things up and driving cars, and I don't know. There's mini games and all sorts. You can obviously dress your goat. It's why a goat? I don't know. Maybe because they can eat anything. You could just eat whatever you want, eat your way through the town. It looks like stylistically, it looks nice. Looks pretty realistic. There's people and buildings and things like that. I have to admit, I have not played a Goat Simulator game before, but I've definitely heard of them and I've heard quite good things. I think they're reviewed pretty well. But as I said, I'm surprised it's done so well that there are three of them now. So,
It seems like
Um,
the sort of game maybe kids would
yeah,
like
probably. Yeah.
just because it has
I
So,
have
that
a
goofy
shocking
kind of stuff.
revelation for you too. Sorry,
oh,
Trev.
please let
No,
us
go ahead.
know. What is it,
There
Kurt?
was no Goat Simulator 2.
Yes.
Yep.
Really?
I just looked it up. Yep, they never released it. Went right from the first to the third.
Okay.
Oh,
Like
you
on
sneaky guys.
why? Just for marketing reasons? Just to trick
Well,
us?
I'm looking at an article here at culturedvultures.com is where I found my answer. And it just said that they did this because why not? Um,
Okay.
it's a
How do you
goofy
Maybe
argue with that
game, so
logic?
let's do this. There
yeah,
was,
maybe
when did I see this before? Leisure Suit Larry, going way back. And there
oh,
are some
yeah.
Leisure Suit Larry games on the Switch, but there was never a Leisure Suit Larry 4, I believe. I think after 3, Allo, the creator, said we're never going to make a Leisure Suit Larry 4. And when he was finally pressed into doing the sequel, they skipped 4 and went right to 5.
So he couldn't be caught out in,
Wow.
like
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there is precedent for skipping it.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. That kinda makes me like it more. Just I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, okay, well, there you have it. Goat Simulator 3. There was no 2. Trev asked a very good question and Kirk found the answer. Thank you both.
So now
Yeah.
there's potential. They released the prequel and they call it Goat Simulator 2.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I'm not sure what the difference between 1 and 3 is. I suppose it's just updated visuals and, maybe he can the goat, I don't know, he or she can do more things. I wonder if I wonder if it would have just been DLC though, if it's the same look and feel, but I don't know. I haven't played either, so I'm not really able to speak, I suppose, on the topic that much. But yeah, maybe I should give 1 or 3 a go and see how we go. Goat Simulator 3. Yeah, very interesting. Um, let's move on because we have a lot to talk about. We could talk about goats. We could probably fill up a whole podcast on random things like
I
this.
will
So
just throw this out here.
yeah, yeah.
And I actually I have Kirk to thank for this. But there is a Goat Simulator pinball table.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Um, I can't, I can't comment on how much it's tied in with this game, but it's in Pinball FX, which is no Pinball FX3, but it is still pinball, and we might have a review of the table. So maybe that'll whet your appetite to learn more about the game.
Yeah,
Let's say that was
interesting.
Goat Simulator 2. It was a pinball game.
Yeah,
It
and
was
I
the
mean,
demake, right? Is that what they call it? A demake?
and a bit more of the history. I think the original Goat Simulator has been around since like 2014 or something. It's been around a while. Seems to be fairly mixed reviews though, like in the 60s on Metacritic. So maybe this is just, since it's been around like 10 years, they've come up with a whole new version, new graphics, new things to do, hopefully better experience. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the critics think. I don't know if we're reviewing this one, but if we can, we will.
Well, we're
um,
for sure
yeah.
doing the pinball table one. So
Yes, yes,
we got to
that's it.
start somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Work your way up. Let's move on to an exciting one for Kirk, I think, which is Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky the First, which comes out. The window is 2025, so rather large window again. What is with the title of this one? Why is it Trails in the Sky the First, Kirk? What does that mean?
Well, you may recall when I reviewed, I can't remember which one it was. This series, more than any other series I've ever played, is one of the most complicated ones to follow. It's so
Right.
big, and there are so many characters and so many story arcs. But I mentioned that for the Legend of Heroes arc within these, um, that we've gotten most of the games have come to the Switch now, whether they're ports or just actually built for the Switch. You know, they're releasing Switch versions of the same game that you're getting on the other systems.
Hmm.
The Trails in the Sky series started in 2004, and that's what started the whole Trails subseries of the Legend of Heroes games.
Hmm.
So I think I mentioned back then that there were 5 games that never came to the Switch. It's the 3 Trails in the Sky games, and then the first 2 Trails of Cold Steel games.
Hmm.
Those 2 are the whole thing started on the Switch, on uh, Trails of Cold Steel 3. And
Yep.
we've since gotten everything, and we've gone back and done some of it. But I was excited to see this because this is going to be, I assume they'll release all 3 games for Nintendo systems. And this is what kicked off that whole sub arc within the Legend of Heroes thing. Like I said, the more I talk, the more I'm going to confuse myself. So I'll stop here, except to say that if you're a Legend of Heroes fan, hop on, because this is where the whole thing actually begins for that particular story arc. And we still have games coming out later in the year that are at the end of the story arc. So
Right.
have at it, I guess. To me, it's as
Yeah.
complicated as Star Wars or Star Trek have become.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back and forth. So it's not actually like the original wasn't called Trails in the Sky the First. The original was just called Trails in the Sky.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
this version is the first because it's to let people know this is the first one.
Yeah, although
Yeah, okay.
curiously, in 2007, that's when they released Trails in the Sky the Third, and they did call that Trails in the Sky the Third. But the second, according to what I'm seeing here on Wikipedia, was not called the
Ugh.
second. It was Trails in the Sky SC. So again, don't try to understand it. Just hop on and have a good time.
Just
It's
hop
like
on.
Goat Simulator all over again. Like, which Trails of the Sky is really the first?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for clarifying. At least
Well,
I don't
nothing
know
is
if you
really
did. I'm
clarified.
confused.
Thank you
thank you
for
for
complicating.
yeah. Yeah.
I've exacerbated the problem.
Yeah. We know there's a game coming in 2025 and it's called The First, and we assume it's the first. We're
We get
looking
a few
forward
months to figure it out anyway.
to it. Yeah.
Regardless of what it's called, it should be fun. I really enjoy these games. So as much as I'm making
Yeah.
fun of the timeline,
Yeah.
I look forward to playing all of them.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Well, we'll probably hear more about that one as 2025 draws closer, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. And we've got obviously the one you said that's coming out later this year. What was that one called again?
Oh, no, not the
No?
early
No.
2025. They just
Oh,
released
okay.
one. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Of course. Cool. Thank you. The next one is Star Wars Hunters, which is obviously one of my favorite games, I think, of the year. I've just been playing this a lot. And season 3 is coming on September the 26th. And I do love that they are doing this. They're adding seasons. And so if you haven't heard me talk about this over the past few months, every time I bring it up, it's a free game. So you should go and download it. It's very fun. It's 4 versus 4 battles. You choose a character. You get randomly equipped with a team. You can play online with friends as well, but I'm just playing randomly. And you battle 4 other random people around the world and try to win, and it's really, really fun to win. And I've said before, the character's really cool. They have, a new Wookiee, a new kind of Sith, a new Jedi, etc. What they're adding on September 26th is a new Ewok character, which I know Kirk loves the Ewoks. So maybe maybe this will convince you to give it a try.
Yeah.
And
Plenty of rocks and stones.
yes, there's also a new area to battle in, I suppose. I don't know what you would call that exactly, but it looks like a Hoth planet, like the icy planet. So that would be cool as well. It is free. I think the Ewok character probably won't be free because what they've done to date is when they dropped the game, there was one character you had to pay for. The rest you could unlock just by playing over time. Then when season 2 dropped, there was a new character added you had to pay for if you wanted that character. And I'm assuming season 3 will bring the Ewok. I'm assuming you'll have to pay for that as well. I think it's about $10 US or something like that for the character. I've just unlocked, just FYI, I've just unlocked all of the other free characters, which took a long time. You have to play a fair amount and earn. You can pay for them if you want to, of course. You can buy gems and unlock them quicker. But I've just unlocked the final of the roster, so I actually have all of them now, which is pretty exciting, I think.
Oh, see, if
For
you
me.
can do that in Star Wars, you can do that in Metal Slug, right?
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started again. So yes, looking forward to season 3. I'm sure I'll briefly mention it again on a future episode when that drops. But let's move on to Worms Armageddon, the anniversary edition. And I feel like this is maybe a Trev game, if I'm not mistaken. Would I be
It
correct in assuming?
is.
Yeah, I feel like you've mentioned Worms in the past. What is the deal with this edition?
Yeah, well, I have mentioned Worms in the past because actually, one of our Pure Nintendo occasional contributors, James, he kind of talked me into checking out the previous Worms game on the Switch, which was Worms WMD, which
Hmm.
incidentally is on sale until September 4th, for only
Oh,
$5.99. That's 80% off. So you'll have a couple days
wow.
if you catch the podcast quick.
That's a big
Grab it
discount.
on sale. Yeah. And it's not one of those where they dump it on a big sale just to push out, like a shovelware game. This is a
Mm.
really great game. The gameplay really clicked with me for multiplayer fun. And this particular one, which apparently is an update of a game from 1999. First of
Mm.
all, that's a game that needs an update, right? 99. None of this updated game after 6, 8 years, whatever. But I like the visual style. I like the sounds of it. Again, this is one that looks like it has. They showed like interviews, a museum, an 8-bit version, so it does sort of have some of that, um, polish you would expect, or extras you might expect for an update. And it
Mm.
does look like it's going to be available physically, um, maybe in
Oh.
a fancy edition. I couldn't quite figure out if it was a standard and a fancy edition, or if it was just the latter. But these games are just a lot of fun in multiplayer. And the Switch is already flush in great multiplayer games, right? But if you're looking for a break from Mario Kart or from Smash Brothers, you can have a lot of fun with Worms. It's more of a thinking person's, because you take turns and strategize, trying to. I'm probably not explaining it the best, and I'm far from an expert on the series, but just a lot of fun. And when I saw this, I knew right away that it would be a game I will enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it, am I wrong in saying that it's a little bit like Angry Birds where you throw things at each other and they kind of explode? Kind of?
I'm not. Well, I mean, there's physic elements. I don't know if I'd go Angry Birds, but
Mm.
um, so basically, in the map, you're these little worms, and you have all sorts of weaponry and different things you can use to your advantage. And this version looks like it has even more, like things that'll wipe out huge chunks of the level. But yeah, you're
Mm.
basically trying to knock out the worm, and it might be all right. I have this weapon that's high damage, but incredibly hard to aim, or I have this one. Can it navigate through their defenses? Like it's much more methodical. Like when Jen and I were playing online with James and his wife, we would, we'd be like talking to each other, be like, hey, scrolling the map, see where they're located. Do you think I can reach them there? So there's a lot of strategizing. Maybe not everyone's into that sort of thing, but we certainly were. And
Mm.
um, it might not look to look at the trailer, it might not be the most intuitive to watch, but when you have a controller in hand, you'll pick it up quick.
Yeah. No, it looks, I mean, I don't think I've played it a whole lot. Maybe briefly at school or something. I remember someone playing Worms or some version of Worms. I don't know. Anyway, I think it looks cool. It just made me think, oh, is Angry Birds kind of taking off Worms a little bit? Because you're throwing things, you're trying to knock over things. I guess in
Yeah,
Worms you're trying to
Worms
blow up
did
people.
predate Angry
Yeah,
Birds.
definitely.
I suppose on a base level, if you think of just trying to like knock down parts of a level,
Mm,
from that perspective, it is. But it's much more engaging to play with friends, I would say.
yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Well, that one comes out on September the 26th, so only a few weeks away actually, which is nice. So we'll see, and yeah, we'll see if that's a physical or digital or whatever it happens to be, the fancy box, as you said. The next game is another physics-based sandbox adventure, it's called, and it's starring Patrick Star of SpongeBob fame. I don't think he's had his own game before that I recall. SpongeBob has obviously been around a long time as well. He's very popular, has many, many games. I'm a big fan of the show, maybe not so much of the games. They're varied. There's so many different games. There's, Krusty Cook-Off. There's that one I think someone in Pure Nintendo reviewed one last year. SpongeBob had some sort of platforming adventure of some kind. This one is Patrick's game, and you can, be Patrick, and you can make other people act like Patrick, I think, or something crazy. So it just looks interesting and kind of fun. And it is out on October the 4th, so it's only about a month away. And pre-orders are apparently open now as well. I don't know if anyone's a SpongeBob fan at all. I probably prefer SpongeBob to Patrick personally, but he's funny. He's a place. What I love is that the voices, there are other characters in the game, of course. In the trailer, it shows Gary, the snail, and Squidward, and I at least heard Patrick's voice, and that was voiced by the actor who voices Patrick, and I believe the others will be doing the same. I saw something recently because SpongeBob recently celebrated some kind of big anniversary. I can't remember the number. Might have been 25, 30 years, something like that. And the crew, the cast are really good friends. I saw this random video. It was actually on Twitter/X, and they were showing behind the scenes. They're all really good friends. They've been doing this, for 20 or 30 years. It was really nice just to see this group, of actors or voice actors together, and just to see them talk, the real person talk, and hear their voice. And like, oh, that does sound like Patrick a little bit. Anyway, either of you SpongeBob/Patrick fans?
I could say I am a huge SpongeBob fan
Oh,
and have been for
nice.
quite some time.
Yeah.
You guys, you will disagree with me, Trev, but I will say that the original SpongeBob movie, the animated cartoon, is the single best cartoon ever made.
Is that the one with David Hasselhoff?
Yes.
Yes.
And when I say it's the best, I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about, from cinematic point. I'm saying that
Yeah.
for entertainment and pound for
Yeah.
pound comedy and jokes working, oh my, I must have watched that movie about 15, 20 times now and love it every single time.
I'm a
Love
fan
it.
also. Yes.
It's
Big fan.
funny that you presume I'm going to disagree. I don't know why, but I will say this, and maybe it's because I don't have kids like you guys, but I have never seen SpongeBob. I know very little about SpongeBob except in awareness that he exists.
Yeah. Well, I will say I was watching SpongeBob before I had kids, but that just maybe shows my maturity level. So
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the show annoyed me the first couple times I landed on it, but then, like sometimes you're just sort of like listening to something in the background and you hear a joke and I'm like, wait a minute, that was funny. I mean, that was legitimately funny. And then I start paying attention, like this show is much sharper than anybody's
Yeah.
going to give it, people who are annoyed by the voice of the character are really missing out.
Yeah,
that's
I
probably how
agree.
people feel about our podcast.
Yeah,
They have it on
probably.
in the background, and occasionally they'll chuckle.
Yeah. Have we told that joke yet? Have we landed that one that's going to make everybody realize how funny we actually are? I
Oh,
don't think so. I
there's
don't think
usually
so.
one or two an episode. It's not my jokes usually. I'd say Kirk or Trev, you guys. There's one winning joke an episode. I would say. So,
I don't think I'm going to play this game though because I don't know that Patrick is interesting enough to carry a full game.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I was
Yeah,
sort of saying I prefer SpongeBob to Patrick. Patrick
yeah.
has his place, but I think there's a Patrick Star show now, which I did
I
watch.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just not as good as
Yeah, I think like
SpongeBob.
you know how there was a point where The Simpsons kind of trailed off and then it picked back up again, from what I understand.
Mm.
SpongeBob trailed off and it hasn't picked back up. If you're going to
Ah,
watch the show,
Uh,
you got to watch the first few seasons. My kids
yeah.
could tell you exactly at what point to quit.
I'd like to know that because I don't. SpongeBob is one of those shows, and sorry, we should move on from SpongeBob very, very soon, but it's like some are on Netflix, some are on other channels, some are free to air. I can't keep up with how to watch SpongeBob anymore.
Yeah, I think Paramount, maybe some of them are on Paramount
Yeah,
has its
it's
own
all over
service.
the place, so it's really hard to find.
Yeah,
I don't even know what season they're up to these days, so
yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
watch
I
that
just
first movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Do
hour and
yourself a
20
favor.
minutes of pure joy.
It is good. We have watched it several times.
I'll
It's
add it to my wish list.
please do, Trev, and let us know. Let's move on to Fitness Boxing 3, which is, I guess, the third outing for the series, and it comes out in December, on December the 5th. It has some new features, something called Quick Workout and something called Sit Fit Boxing, where you sit down and box, I guess. There's new trainers, and you can decorate them and do different hairstyles, things like that. Who has played a fitness boxing outing before? Anyone?
I have. I think I reviewed
Yes.
it for Nintendo or
Oh,
for
and
Pure
how
Nintendo.
how was it? Because the trailer looked kinda cool. Like, my son and I were watching it going, "This looks kinda fun."
Yeah, it's surprising how intense some of those workouts can be. Like when I first thought, if I'm not holding weights and I'm not really like jumping around too much,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, they're pretty rigorous, and I did like it. The things I didn't enjoy, there were one's a legitimate complaint, the other one is just a personal preference. But there were times when the controllers weren't picking up my movements, and it
Mm,
docks you for that, and like the constant negativity it sends at me by saying I didn't punch when I'm fairly certain I'd had
yeah,
starts to get on my nerves. So maybe they fix that by three. So
hopefully.
I'd be curious to see. The other thing is, I hate, absolutely detest the positive, you're doing great coaching kind of thing that they have. Um, like when I'm exercising, I don't want people there encouraging me. Tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. Don't try to pump me up. I don't. That's not me.
Okay.
It's annoying. So
Yep.
and when I was watching this and the thing, there was an awful lot of that. The constant positive reinforcement from
Mhm.
fake people. They're not even real. So
Yeah.
if I could shut that off and just get my cues and see when I got a punch, I'd be more
Mhm.
likely to do it than have someone talking to me like I'm a third grader.
You'd
Yeah,
rather
right.
have negative
Really
reinforcement, like "you suck,
not.
do better."
I would like that. Would I like that more? I mean, I would take that less seriously. Like, I would say, yeah, I would like that more, but that sounds like I'm, some kind of glutton, and I'm not. I don't want people yelling at me, but it would be easier to take that less seriously than the compliments and the reinforcement.
I
Did you
hear you. There
yeah.
there are a lot of them. I actually reviewed the second one, so
Oh, okay. There you go.
and which sort of though makes me think. You said this is the third one, but there's
Mhm.
actually been two spin-offs of this game. There was a
Yes.
Fist of the North Star one and a
Mhm.
Yes.
Hatsune Miku one. And I'm just wondering, how many fitness boxing games do we need? Because if you
Oh,
got the
they
spin-offs, this is going to be the fifth one. And also, and Kirk might be able to verify this, weren't the first two at least Nintendo published?
I think so.
mm.
Because I'm wondering why this one then got put in the partner showcase. Like, did somebody take over the publishing duties and marketing duties away, or is it a new, production crew or whatever? I don't know.
The first one definitely was. I'm just looking at the eShop listing right now, yeah, and
Mm.
it definitely was published by Nintendo. There is a free that's the second one, sorry. There is a free demo for number 2 as well. I wonder if they'll do a demo for number 3. But yeah, I think it might
Mm.
just be DLC if they've got a new mode or something. Kinda like
It
Wii
just
it's not
That's a
Switch
lot of
Sports.
fitness boxing. And I'm sure it'll do popular enough. I mean, December 5th, right? Around that time, people will be thinking ahead to the holiday
Mm.
wait, right? You got to drop off Christmas dinner or whatever, people eat. But yeah, I mean, What's next? Fitness boxing 4, Foxy boxing, the one where the chicks wail on each other.
I
Guys,
should go back to Fists of the North Star because my complaint about the positive reinforcement, I'm assuming that's not there.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Uh,
going to be based on a very violent anime. That's more my speed than personal coaching. So I got to go back.
yeah, maybe you should do that one. And that one, the number 2 came out in 2020, but not yeah, the Fist of the North Star one only came out last year, although early last year, but still. Maybe it's a bit like Just Dance where there's an annual kind of thing, but then they should call it that. They should call it Fitness Boxing 2024.
At this
This
rate, it might be.
Yeah, and I wonder if number 3 is like it's aimed at new people, like, "Oh, there's a number 3, maybe I should jump on board." Like, I've never played one, but maybe number 3 is the time I jump on board. Or is it aimed at people who are sick of number 2 or whatever, and like, "I need a fresh new version." I don't know. It just seems
You know what else I don't like about the fitness boxing series is that there is a soundtrack of like actual pop songs that they play in the background. And I looked at them, and maybe there were like 3 that I liked, and 27 or so that I just have no interest in hearing. So
yeah. Yeah. They're not cheap games. They're 70 no, this is
At
Australian dollars.
least the music, it's just instrumental. At least I think
yeah, but
so.
still,
That is a little bit of a pro. You don't have to hear some of the vapid lyrics or actual singing, but
and that's a complaint about health clubs in general because if they're pumping music on, they're never playing songs I want to hear. They're not
Mm.
playing Night Ranger.
I was trying
not
to think
yet.
of
That'll be DLC, right?
one. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, we have mixed opinions of fitness boxing, but it seems like we'll have to wait and see how much better this one is. But yeah, okay. Interesting. Thank you for that coverage. December the 5th it comes out. Let us know if you're a fan of the series and if you'll be picking up number 3, I guess, or not.
Is it really the
Let's
third, or is it fitness boxing the fifth?
Yeah, that's the other thing. What is with count? No one seems to know how to count today. Not us, but these game publishers. So yeah, there's a lot of numbering issues that we're seeing. That's the message from today's podcast. Number your games properly. Um, okay, moving on to Telia Yumia, which I thought I could say it properly, but maybe not. The Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land, which comes out early 2025. Kirk, is this something you're excited about?
Yes,
Potentially?
it
Yes.
is. When everybody gets their hands on the next issue of Pure Nintendo Magazine, we talked about launch titles and some of the games that we're looking forward to or hoping that will be there on day one.
Hmm.
And this is one of the series I mentioned because it had been a while since we had anything new, and I am a fan of the Atelier series. Depending on the game, it's a kind of a JRPG, and there's a lot of exploration, and there's a lot of decent turn-based combat. For the most part, it's turn-based. There's also a lot of alchemy where you're collecting materials and you're combining them to create other things and to improve things. The ones that from the Atelier Ryza, which was the last series that's been released, not as remakes. We've seen some remakes since then, but it's the latest series proper. Um, I think I skipped the first one because it didn't look like it was my kind of thing. And then I ended up taking the second one as a review and thought it was so great. I went back and bought the first. Uh, and I'm a big fan of these games. We don't know much about it. All they did was show us the main character, Yumiya, I'm assuming,
Hmm.
in some combat, maybe a little bit of the alchemy, although it looked like she wasn't standing over a big pot like normal, just blending things and creating swords somehow out of natural materials. But the website does say that there's an update coming on September 2nd. So maybe by the time this drops, we will know more about the movie than
Ah,
more about the game than what was
yeah.
revealed in the Nintendo Direct.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the trailer looks not like what they showed does look very nice. Some of the monsters and the battles that she has, the magic. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the combat system was the third one that just came out. I didn't like it quite as much as in the second. They always change it up a little bit to keep things interesting. One and two I thought were fantastic, and three fell off a bit for me. But I'm looking
Mm.
forward to seeing a new series with a new character and what they end up doing with that.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll see. Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens on September the 2nd. Yeah, this will come out on that day, this podcast. So maybe we can talk about it next week if there's something cool and interesting revealed. Definitely, we'll keep an eye on that one. So early
Between you and
2025.
James, Kirk, we got a ton of reviews of those games. I was just looking
Yeah,
on this site. It seems like we reviewed them all.
there have been a lot, and Koei Tecmo have always been very good about working with us to make sure that we're covering them, and they should, because they really are really good games.
Excellent. And I love that we do cover them because they're a popular genre. So yeah, if you're listening and you haven't seen what we've covered, go check out the website at purenintendo.com. We have lots of stuff there to read through and inspire you to check out some of these games. What else have we got on the list? We have Suikoden 1 and 2 Remaster Bundle, which is a pair of turn-based RPGs. Now, this one's not due to come out till March the 6th of 2025. We do have an actual date for this one. But these are, how old would the originals be for Suikoden 1 and 2? Do we know the time frame? They 90s? How old are they? I don't know.
Well,
We'll find it out.
Suikoden was a early PlayStation RPG,
Ah,
and
uh-huh.
at least in North America, the PlayStation was 95, and
Hmm.
so I'm going to guess 96, maybe 97 for Suikoden. It was an
Yeah.
early RPG.
95. 95.
Right, there you go. So mid-90s. So they've remastered these. These. It's still the top-down. What would you call it? That kind of top-down style of RPG. I think it looks really cool. I love this style. This is my preferred style. And they've remastered it and they've added a few features, such as you can speed up battles. Sorry, Kirk, have you or Trev played the originals at all previously?
I played Tierkreis on the DS back in the day,
Hmm.
but not these games.
Hmm.
Not one and two, or anything that followed really up until Tierkreis.
Right.
See, I'm reversed. I played
Yeah.
these, and I didn't play it on DS.
Ah,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, the first game in particular, I enjoyed so much. I rebought it on PSP so I could beat it again. My biggest regret is that I sold second to I think it was Funko Land back in the day. It wasn't even GameStop then. I probably got like $5 for it or whatever, because it's such
Wow.
a expensive game now. So I'm glad
Mm,
that they're coming to Switch so I can replay them and afford to. Um, but I really like the first game especially. Um, One of the main things I like, besides just all the party options with 108 characters, is I love
wow.
having a party roster of 6, because a lot of RPGs will cut that in half, limit you to 3, maybe
Mhm.
4, right?
Mm,
Or some really old school RPGs, you might just have one character, like the original Dragon Warrior. But I like having a party of 6. I like having the options, and I like
mhm,
how in the sequel you can carry over the characters, so there's some continuity. Like on the PlayStation, if you had a memory card with the save file from beating the first game, you could kind of pick up. It was a nice feature, and I'm sure they'll do something similar with these. But yeah,
that
March
is
can't come
cool.
soon enough.
Yeah. No, definitely not. That's awesome. Thank you, Kirk. Oops. I love that you can carry those characters across.
Why are you
That's a real
thanking Kirk? I'm the one who's talking about it.
sorry, thank you, Trev. I was saying I don't know because Kirk was typing, sorry.
Because it's an
I'm
RPG, right?
sending secret messages that
No, it's because it's an RPG, and usually Kirk's the one talking about those.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
JRPG.
Yeah, JRPG, that's true.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
Western RPG.
No. No, that they do look great. They look kind of retro but new. Like the style looks really neat. Love it. very excited. Hopefully, it's good. Well, we know the games are good because they're not, they're old games. They're remastered. The new features will add some, quality of life kind of style of updates for us. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Hopefully, we can hear some more before March the 6th, but that's still a ways off. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens before then.
They did mention they were there were options to speed up the combat, which is nice
Yeah.
because that game
Yeah.
did have a lot of grinding. I seem to
Hmm.
remember having to really level up, to beat a certain boss because he was just wiping the floor with me. So I think that's nice.
Yes. Exactly. Those kinds of those 90s games I think did have a lot a lot of grinding from the ones I played at least. So yeah, definitely makes it a bit more accessible in today's world. Kirk, if you need to leave us, let us know.
I can stay on for a couple more minutes. I just looking at what we had still on the list
Mhm.
ahead. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to stay for all that.
that's okay. Well, we've only got one more to talk about really, which is My Sims Cozy Bundle. I believe this is the final highlight for us. And this is interesting because it was talked about online before the direct. Did you guys see this? It was like, so I don't know. I just saw that people were talking about My Sims. It was kind of leaked, I
Yeah,
guess.
there
It was
were
on,
rumors.
yeah, yeah. There were rumors, and apparently it was up on EA's website. I went and I couldn't see it, so maybe they took it off by the time I looked at it. But it's a series that was on the Wii and the DS. This My Sims series. There hasn't been anything since 2010. This is two adventures in one. It comes out on November the 19th. What do we I guess I'm looking at you, Trev. Have you played either of these previously? Are you interested in this new collection? What do you think?
I haven't played them. I was aware of them
Mhm.
from DS and Wii. There were actually quite a few My Sim games, but I think these first two are more of that sort of Animal Crossing style.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, they look like it.
I, I suspect for a certain generation of gamers, these will be very nostalgic. And I would imagine if this collection proves popular, that they'd probably bring on some of those other My Sim offshoots because between the two systems, there was a pretty good number of them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I haven't played them either, but I'm definitely aware of them. Kirk, any experience with My Sims?
No, in fact, as I'm looking through these pictures, I have no memory of it. I would have thought that this was something like from you mentioned Animal Crossing, like the Animal Crossing game in Nintendo Land.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was
That
fun.
that's what it kind of looks like to me. So yeah, but I was never a huge fan of The Sims on the computer. My wife and my daughter both love it, but I've never really gotten into it.
No, me neither. I've not ever been a Sims player. It looks like there are 5 sequels to the original My Sims. I don't know which version. I can't remember. Do you know which versions are on this cozy bundle? 2 adventures. I don't know which 2 adventures there
I
are.
don't. I do know they spun it off in a few different directions. There's like a spy themed one, and I don't remember the
Yeah.
titles offhand, but I
Yeah.
think they're very much part of that kind of. I don't want to say casual era, but the DS and the Wii. I think they
Yeah.
were games that kind of brought in maybe some new players. So
Yeah. I feel like it's an odd thing to put in a collection just because they're sim games. Like, how different are they that you want to jump into a sim game and build a house and make friends and then jump into another similar sim game and do that all again? Is that something people want to do? I don't know. It seems like a lot of work to me, but I could be wrong. I'm not the target audience,
well,
obviously.
I mean, do you remember when Animal Crossing came out on the Switch and how many people were griping that they could only have one town or one island?
Yeah, yeah,
And
true.
so,
True. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do know that when Sophie plays it, especially, she's constantly starting over with a new character, new relationships, and a new apartment. So maybe that's
Oh,
part of
there
the
you
appeal.
go. I guess that's true. And even for, younger players who play things like Minecraft, they're always starting from scratch with a new world and you think you just build it up and make it the best. They're always wanting to do new things. So yeah, okay. Thank you for correcting me there. Again, I'm not that kind of player. Don't like
oh,
even
to be
Animal
clear,
Crossing.
I'm with you, Gemma. I'm
Yeah,
not either. I am just
yeah,
aware that other people have that mindset.
yes. Thank you. Well, thank you for clarifying. And I'm sorry for anyone who is into that and loves it. I think it definitely has its place, and I hope you enjoy this cozy bundle. So yeah. That's it for us though for this week in terms of this list. We've gone well over our hour, but we knew it would be a bit of a longer episode, I think. Any other final thoughts on the direct before we close off for the week?
I will just say that I was kind of surprised that there were so many games that appealed to me in this.
Yeah.
But maybe even more so than the last Nintendo Direct proper. But that's because with the JRPGs that they have listed, there was just more my style and more surprises. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah. I was impressed also just by the sheer number of games. I think,
Yeah.
Nintendo's doing a great job of keeping players invested in the Switch as long as possible until the new Switch comes out, whatever that is called. And just before we close off, I will say thank you once again to our friend Jose Rios, who did leave a comment during the week on our previous video. And he also mentioned the direct, that he watched it and was excited. Things like Tetris Forever, Pizza Tower, Castlevania, and Suikoden 1 and 2. So yeah, we agree with you on all of that. And hopefully you enjoy this episode as well. Any comments, please let us know. We love talking about all things Nintendo. We hope you enjoy the show. You can follow us on social media. In the meantime, we are on Twitter/X and Blue Sky and Mastodon. You can check out our website at purenintendo.com for all those great reviews that we mentioned during the show. Also, I think we're heading to the printer this week for our magazine. So it should be shipping shortly. Shipping shortly. I love that alliteration. Thank you, Kirk, in advance for handling that. And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/Pure Nintendo, and we'd love to get our physical magazine into your hands. Look forward to that issue coming out soon. Thank you so much again for listening. Thank you, Kirk and Trev, for joining me again this week and talking about the awesome coverage of the Direct. Until next week, game on, everybody. Bye.
So long.